morning, and welcome to a very, very special edition of Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and we are joined by two gentlemen that need very, very little introduction. And today, myself, Norman Clement, and Joe Person will talk about just the after the election conversation. And there's still a lot of things that need to be confirmed since this election took place on Tuesday. As many of you know, we made history in the city of Detroit. I've been seeing all around the country where people have been congratulating the mayor-elect, Mary Sheffield. And then as Joe and Norman will talk about too, we had history being made in New York City with the newly elected mayor there in New York City. Some of the other races, Virginia and other places, have had history being made, as well. But we're going to chop it up and talk a little bit about the newly elected city council people. And not only are we going to delve into the conversations in Wayne County, but with our political pundit and our expert, Joe Person, we'll let him talk a little bit about what's going on in Oakland County, as well. And then we'll also delve a little bit too into how this election may be affecting the elections that are going on next year. As everybody knows, this was the local elections here for mayor, city council. We also had police commissioners, and other cities have had the same, elections, but we also want to talk a little bit about how these elections will affect the people that are going to be supported next year for the midterm election. Midterm election is the governor, the senators, the state reps, and the congresspersons, that represent you in Washington, D.C. And I believe there may be some judges that might be also on the ballot as well. And then 2 years from next year, in 2028, that is going to be the presidential election. So another topic of conversation we're going to talk about today, too, is the voter apathy. And looking in terms of, say, it, Norman, who crunches numbers about the particulars when it comes down to the percentages of people that voted in the Wayne County election for the various different races. And then Joe to talk too about there's some votes that still need to be counted and, in Oakland County. But let's get started. Joe, Norman, welcome to the special edition of Truth to Power. But Norman, I'll let you start in terms of, say, with Detroit. And first question I just want to ask you, were there any surprises?
At the top of the ticket, no. Actually, man, I want to shout out Chantel Jenkins and not Chantel Watkins, I'm sorry, and also to Mary Sheffield's team. I think New York, but also especially Mary Sheffield's team, organizing, tactics, strategy, is a new example how to run every election on every race across the board. That was a masterclass of adjusting, seeing the environment, and getting everybody out to vote. She knocked on every door. She ran the race 4 years ago. She was everywhere. People knew her. People knew of her. People seen her. Every walk of the city of Detroit, she has been everywhere in every community. Present, listening, and also as a city councilwoman. So when she ran this race, what she did was she went everywhere. Not just the dignitaries, not just the old folks. She went to the hood, the east side, a lot of time on the east side, talking to east side organizations that other folks wouldn't talk to. She pulled the hood out. A 22% increase in voting over the last 3 elections in Detroit. She brought the hood out. That's an example. Another example of great strategy is also with how she was able to navigate the notion of, are we ready for a woman-female mayor who's going through, who now has some questionable things that later came up, and how she navigated that and pivot, focusing on the issues. She focused on the issues right now. And if I was the Democratic Party, if I was the Republican Party, or I know what independent person is, I would tap her staff right now to help her and bring them on.
So you think that Chantel Watkins is probably a leading candidate to be a part of somebody's campaign next year?
Absolutely. Chantel Watkins will bring my lead candidate back. Actually, Chantel Watkins actually needs to be maybe assistant chair under the Michigan Democratic Party. Because right now, during this election time, I'm kind of disappointed right now that there hasn't been no gathering outreach. I'm also disappointed where they're still taking information from consultants that live in D.C. And right now, in this moment, people don't want that. It's a government shutdown. I don't need consultants telling me how to talk to people in these robotic languages. I need them to go and feel my pain and do what you do to help me out. Tell me where folks can get services. Help me during my 30-day mortgage. I'm late behind my bills. That's going to affect my credit rating. What are you going to do about staving off people's credit ratings? People are getting to the 60-day mark of not paying their bills. That credit rating is going to hit. And so what are those messages they're talking about there? The other races, District 2 I thought it was going to be closer than it was, but Callaway did the groundwork and pulled away. District 3, Benson won. Tate was always dominant, really winning the polls. 5 was quite interesting. Some precincts went back and forth, but Renata, Councilman-elect Renata, she won. Renata Miller won. Also, 6 was closer than I thought it would be. But Gabrielle Santiago, yep, she retains it. Yeah, Councilman, State Rep Tyrone Carter. And that was a close race, which was kind of interesting. And I think the one everybody watches, newly elected Councilman Denzel McCampbell beat it, State Rep Karen Winsett. And so those races, though, the folks that won really were on the ground. The ground game comes in effect in the matter, but also getting your name out there first gets in the matter. I think it's interesting. The messaging has been different. I think right now, and what I like about it, especially with Mary's race, is that she trusted her experts. Her experts were her people who live everyday life in those communities. You didn't get a strategist that didn't live in Detroit or doesn't live in off of West 6 miles, 7 miles. Everybody lives where the neighbor organizations where they live in District 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So every message was different. The Dems need to take a piece of that knowledge and say, hey, please don't send nobody who lives in Oakland, not straight Oakland County, but doesn't know Wayne County. I can't do Joe's job from Wayne County. And I've been asked that, hey, can you come out to Oakland County and do some stuff? Hey, man, I don't know Oakland County. And somebody I don't have a relationship with to do stuff for. But I know somebody there. I think now the message with the MDP has to be, look here, man, it's strategy, local is local. You have to fight this national game on the local level and put funding into it.
All right, let me get to Joe, but let me say this first before we get to Joe real quick. One thing too, just a disclaimer, is that Chantel Watkins, who you keep referring to, Chantel, a lot of times we talk about when one door closes, another door opens. Mm-hmm. Chantel lives in District 5, which was Mayor-elect Sheffield's district that she represented. The other thing is that she was running for Mary's old seat because it was an open seat because she couldn't run for mayor and also for city council. so she had to vacate the city council seat. And then Chantel, I thought, was probably the leading
Absolutely.
Candidate in that district. But things happened where she was removed off the ballot.
Yep.
And so that's why she was able to go and get with Mayor-elect Sheffield and work the ground game, as you were saying, Norman, to make certain that everybody knew who she was and what she was going to do if she was supported for mayor of the city of Detroit.
And it made it more dangerous.
And it because she knew Mary.
She knew Mary.
She
right.
knew Mary because she lived in the district. She knew what, she's young, she's vibrant, and she's got that energy to really get out there and make certain doors were knocked on. There was a lot of people that may have had questions about whether or not, if, as you said before, was Detroit ready for a female mayor who was African American descent? And they were able to negate a lot of the things that people were saying about sexuality in terms of, say, being male or female.
Right.
Can a female run a large city of over 500,000 people? Look at all the mayors that we've had before. The only two females that really put a real significant run as far as, say, in the race, we had Irma Henderson. And we also had Sharon McPhail.
Sharon McPhail, yeah.
Sharon McPhail was the one that got out of the primary and got into the general election.
Right.
So we have to commend her, and we have to commend any of the females that ran for mayor previously. I can think of a lot that have put their name in the hat. You mentioned about Chantel Jenkins. And question two, and Joe, I know you're ready, because I'm ready for you to get your comments about Oakland County. But I want to kind of finish with Wayne real quick, or just talk a little bit more about Wayne. Has anybody thought about, do you think that the race might have been closer? Because this was a landslide elect that she won by. Do you think it might have been closer had Chantel Jenkins been the person that she would have
100%. 100%.
Why do you think that?
A reason why is that Chantel Jenkins, and this is, I'm calling it balls and strikes. This is after Monday morning quarterback. We're watching film. Ken Lock's team failed him. Failed him miserably.
I can't wait to delve into this.
Well, I know you're waiting.
I know, Joe.
No.
That's why we got 2 hours. So we got.
I'm not talking about Oakland County. I'm gonna delve into this. Wayne, the election in Detroit.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah. So it failed them miserably, and we actually got to look at the overall. And I'm looking at film. It's coming from an old coach. We watch film. I play football. Watch film. I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at the nomination process, why someone tapped him to run. I'm looking at that. Was that just to do that, or could he been better suited to supporting Chantel Jenkins? Sometimes you got to look at. Sometimes everybody's place is not to run because you feel a certain type of way, maybe about a candidate or a candidate's father or whatever. It's stuff for that. It is what it is. And so you look at Ken Lock. Ken Lock's a pastor. But also, it showed in that debate that as a pastor, yes, you're a CEO of a church or organization, but you've never been questioned. In the church's spaces, you're the leader, you're the head, you're the monitor, you're the heart of the church. When you're running for an executive position of the city of Detroit, it's a government. People have a right to question because guess what? You work for the people. Now you're a servant of God. You work for people at your church, but at the same time, people have faith in you and your leadership that you'll do the right thing. As an executive of the city of Detroit, I got questions, but my taxpayers pay your salary, sir. You work for me. I got questions about who's getting contracts. I got questions about your vision of Detroit. I got questions of that. I got pushed back on there. So there's not a lot of thought out that. For him to run and then set him up with a team that failed him miserably when he had 20,000 people at Fox Theater running for, you announced your announcement and running for mayor, but it took you 3 to 4 months to get 3,000, 5,000 signatures. It took you months to get the team on the ground. And when you barely made it out of the primary, Mary's team went out to capture all those folks that did not vote for her. They kept running. They act like they lost the primary. They came in second. His camp did nothing for 4 weeks. You did nothing after the primary. About some people outside of your office table on Livernois in a tent and have people sit there all day. And so there was not a heavy load of the folks knocking the doors and stuff like that. He picked the wrong people in the camp, and when it was time to go to the right people in your camp to try to save this election, it was too late. And so the question I have for him is that, and the question for Wayne County is this: we've got to reevaluate the scouting department, as they call it in football. Who are we selecting to draft the folks? Who are we drafting the folks to run for elections? Why are we drafting them? We got to evaluate the GM, the coaching staff. Like I'm looking at as a football down. If I have a bad lineup constantly, and I send people up to run constantly, and I have not won, I'm sorry. Hold up. We got to evaluate this whole staff lineup right here. Those are the questions that you got to ask, because this at 26, this is it. This ain't time for no games. This ain't time for personal things and stuff like that. I like somebody. No, this is to win the chip. We need an all-star team out here. We need the money we need to put money and funding out here. Midterms start today. Started 2 days ago. I'm sorry. So this notion of taking your time and figuring this stuff out right and talk to this Roy and do an analyzation, ain't got time for that. People know what to do. The ground team know what to do. Put the money down there, get the candidates ready to go, and tell other candidates that you know they're not going to win, hey, bro, sit this out this time. Ain't nothing personal. Got to sit this out this time. And that's just me from Wayne County.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that to everybody else, because last 2 years I've been quiet. I played ball. Now it's going to be, hey, I got to win, bro. Hey, I love you, but this ain't for you. I need you to do this.
So you say, as the coach said, we play the game to win.
Yeah.
Not just to show up, but we showing up to win, not just to be making an appearance.
Ain't nothing for moral victories.
Okay. All right. Joe Person, you're on.
Okay, what did Vince Lombardi say? Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go over here back in the city of Detroit. First of all, everybody wanted to tell us Solomon Kinlock was a pastor. He had 40,000 people. He's a mega church. He had all of these churches. I said, okay, I'm listening to that. So I looked at the numbers. Like I said, I do the math. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, in the primary, he got barely 17,000 votes? Mm-hmm. I said, okay, Miss Chantel Jenkins got 15, 16, almost, basically
16,000 votes.
60,
right?
yeah, so you're talking about 1,000 votes, and she didn't have the army, the machine, the money, all of this that Reverend Kinlock had. If every member in his church had taken it upon themselves to bring one person, I didn't say 5 people, 10 people, one person, it would have been a closer race with Mary Sheffield. They didn't do that. When I saw them out on the ground, and I happened to be out actually I was out canvassing for Mary Sheffield, and I'm like looking at what they were doing. I'm like, this ain't this ain't about God. God ain't ordained him to do. No, you got to give people the facts. The reason that we're going to vote for this person is because they do A, B, C. Simple as that. They didn't do that. When she mopped the floor in the primary, and I saw the 4 weeks, he's saying 4, actually it was 5 weeks and 2 days that they started doing something. It is crucial in a campaign after a primary what you do. And she did it. It was incredible. And let me tell you one of the things that she did. She called me, the camp called me the day before the primary. Joe, we're going to talk to some veterans because I'm a veteran. I pick up the phone, I called them. They made sure that those veterans had ballots, could get out there. And they said, Joe, could you go over there? Okay, I ain't doing nothing. I'm real retired. I went on over there and talked to them. Now, it wasn't but 20 veterans in the room. But the fact that they understood that they needed that vote, to help them win too, they put in the calls to people. And on another note, Mary Sheffield, when we had COVID in America, Miss Mary Sheffield and her father, and I'm tired of this, when a woman refers to her father, it's not legacy. It's him trying to tell her how to run and everything. I wish I had my father that died when I was 13 years old here today to give me guidance and counsel like her father has done with her. And by the way, they did a brilliant job of raising this lady because everything that I've ever seen her do has been a class act. She came and gave us a U-Haul truck and gave us food, the keys to come and feed the people during COVID. This was every Thursday and Friday from May to that December. Okay, you can't say nothing wrong about her, wrong to the people of Southfield, Oakland County, because she helped, and that food not only went to Southfield, it went to Oak Park, it went to Huntington Woods, it went to Pontiac. She didn't have to do that. She could have kept it all inside of Detroit. But she saw the need of the people. So I'm like, okay. But the other part of this is the bench that they put, not so much the bench, the Michigan Democratic Party needs to stop this van. We went old school. Ladies and gentlemen, in Oakland County, we had a write-in candidate for the Southfield City Clerk, Miss Juanette Guy. Right now, as we stand as a write-in candidate, we're 140 votes behind the election denier. And we were a write-in. But we knocked doors. Some of the Michigan Democratic Party wanted to bring the van to us. I told them we're not doing that. You guys can do it. If you go and knock the doors like we had always done, and it was tried and true, you win. We won 3 ballot initiatives. We put a lot of other people in office because that pressed the flesh. I met you. That's why Obama won like he won. He didn't use a van or some kind of system. He said, go knock every door. Will you knock your block? I knocked my block. Well, while I was there, let me go to the next block. Well, while I was there, I got into the rhythm of it. I said, let me go knock. Before I knew it, I had knocked 200 doors. 200 doors. And ladies and gentlemen, and this was in a 2-day period. So we're talking about 100 doors a day that I went and either put literature or talked to somebody. It may be old and we want to use all of this technology and everything, but that guy in New York that won, what's his name?
Mondani.
Mondani, they say he knocked literally every door in the city of New York. Everybody knew him. And let's be real about the baggage that Cuomo had. He stepped down from the governor. Why are we going to reward him and put him in as mayor? Democrats, we got to stop this.
Well, see, it was so funny, Joe, Norman, it was interesting because I think it's a last-minute surge for him in New York. President 45, or 47 now, gave him his endorsement. And a lot of people said that might have been the kiss of death for Cuomo to get that endorsement from President 47. Same thing, just like what he went and did with the the black woman that ran the lieutenant governor in Virginia, and did the same thing to endorse candidates, because that seemed like it was a testament. Trump doesn't have the same kind of effect that he may have had before with trying to help candidates to win.
He doesn't have it because, number one, let's be real. The people that voted for him, like I met some Republicans out there that voted for Democrats, that voted for him in 16, voted for him in 20. They voted for him in 25. And as they said, oh, I didn't think he was talking about me in terms of not getting my Social Security, in terms of all of this other problems, health care, benefits, everything. And most of those folks that voted for him, oh, they're going to do this to the black and brown people and everybody else. That was real. They found out, oh, wow, now everybody in America is being treated how black folk been treated ever since we've been here. So at the end of the day, those same white men, because when they had we celebrated the 250 year of the Army and Flag Day in America, down at 9 Mile in Woodward on, what was it, June the 14th is when they was going to have that protest day. I had never seen this many white men in my entire life. We talking about the years in the military, the years around the world. It was 5 white men to every one person that was there at 9 Mile in Woodward on June the 14th. And the common denominator that everybody talked about was, I thought Trump and everybody weren't talking about us. They was talking about y'all. Now they finding out that y'all people is all of us people. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, when you campaign, there's a new strategy. Democrats cannot put the same old tired ass people, excuse the expression, in office or pick somebody for us. That's not happening. Right now what we're seeing on the ground is that you got to go knock the doors. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Juanette Guy, who was a write-in.
Hold on a second. Hold on. We got to take a break.
Okay.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back. Joe Person, Norman Clement, I'm Darwin Griffin. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
I'm Deborah Geraldine Bledsoe Ford, and I want to celebrate 3 Hall of Fame women. My aunt, Anita Ford Allen, the first female president of the D.C. School Board. My grandmother, Geraldine Bledsoe, a member of the Michigan Women's Hall of Fame for fair employment practices in the state of Michigan. And my mother, Geraldine Bledsoe Ford, the 3rd female jurist in the state of Michigan. Each of these women influenced me and many others to be strong, courageous, and self-assured.
Watch WHPR and TV 33 when you want, where you want, how you want. WHPR is now in your pocket. Download our free app by going to the App Store or Google Play and enter WHPR TV in the search engine. And there we are. You can download WHPR TV or radio. You heard about it. Now come be a part of it. Roku Detroit Worldwide. Approximately 8 million viewers.
Tune in to the I Love the Hustle show, Saturday afternoons at 12 p.m., followed by Mr. Smooth's Ballroom and Steppers Express Dance Show on WHPR 15.2 Detroit, Apple TV, Roku, and many streaming platforms. See you Saturday.
Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
special edition of Truth to Power. This is the post-election edition of Truth to Power. And as everybody knows, we have had a monumental win in the city of Detroit and we have made history with the first female African-American woman elected to the great city of Detroit, Michigan. And her name is Mary Sheffield. And there was a lot of people, as Joe Norman, we talked about, that say that the election was over months ago. And I was a little surprised, when I say a little smidgen, that they called the election so early, because I think at 9:30, because I was poll watching that day, and I think before I could get home, they had already said she won. And wow, whereas like in other communities, as you know, Joe, in Oakland County, they were still counting votes, in Oakland County for, the mayor-elect. And I'm kind of saying that a little apprehensively when I say mayor-elect Seibert, because I know that there's still some question about the results for that election. But we know in Detroit, all those races were pretty much determined early, with the exception, I think, a couple of the council races that were still up. And I guess that there's still some concern about the write-in candidates that won for police commissioner.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that, and we're going to kind of go more into Oakland County with what happened with Barnett Guy, with Gabby Grossbard, and then also with Sylvia Jordan and Ken Seibert. So let's Norman, let me just kind of delve into a little bit first real quick. The endorsement, because there was a lot of people that got really excited when UAW said they were going to support Kinloch in the beginning. Mm-hmm. But then, like both of you are saying, what they did was they matched the UAW support with a lot of the support from other unions and organizations. A lot of the churches jumped on board, and a lot of the first ladies jumped on board to support Sheffield. Mm-hmm. The D9 got out there and really came out, especially a lot of the sororities, to support Sheffield. Mm-hmm. So, as you both are saying, sometimes old school is the way that people should realize to win some of these elections, you can't get away from just social media. Mm-hmm. You've got to knock on doors, as you're saying, Joe. Mm-hmm. You've got to actually get out there, and the people have to see you in the community.
Right.
And I think that might be the one thing that assisted. And then the other question I want to ask you too: do you think that Kinloch not participating in some of those debates and some of those candidate forums could have hurt him as well? And I'll ask you, Joe. What's your thoughts
it hurt him because the 12th Congressional District, I'm the Oakland County Chair for the 12th Congressional District, and a shout out to our chair, Kevin Tolbert. Kevin said, okay, let's have town halls or let's have meetings. So he told the chairs to go out and, put some of these programs together. Well, Danielle Hall, who is the Detroit chair for the 12th Congressional District, put an event together, and Chantel Jenkins came, a lot of the folks came, and even though Miss Sheffield didn't come, she sent a good surrogate. We went to several of these events that where Miss Sheffield didn't show up, she had a good surrogate. Oh, and while I'm on it, there's one thing that they said about her, I'm going to dispel that again for the last time. They put out that she missed 99 meetings as the president of the city council. Ladies and gentlemen, according to Robert's Rules of Order, she is the ex officio of all of the committees. She does not have to show up to any. So all of those meetings that she didn't show up to, it didn't matter because the only meeting that she is required to show up and chair is when the committee of the whole meets. And that is all of the city council members.
What do you mean when you say the city, the whole?
The committee of the whole is all of the city councilmen.
Okay.
All, what is it, how many is it, 9? Is it?
There's 9.
It's 9.
Okay, so when all 9 of them convene a meeting, she is the presiding officer.
Right.
The most two people is supposed to be there is the presiding officer, which is Mary Sheffield, and the secretary to take the notes.
Absolutely.
And they record the actions of the body. Not all of the conversation, you know, they just say a motion was put on the floor to do this, it was second.
Now, now, Joe, one question. How long she's been a councilwoman?
12 years?
And you only say she missed 99 meetings in 12 years. It's a damn good record. So that's all I'm saying. Just continue. But that's on my point.
But those
like,
meetings that she missed were committee meetings.
Right.
That she does not have to go to. She's an ex officio, meaning that she can come to this meeting. She's a member of the meeting by way of her statute as the president of the council. So that's why I say people put out misinformation. Go do the real homework. See, one thing about me, Darwin, and everybody, I'm not coming on here to tell you no lies. Anything I'm telling you, I can give you, as they say in the church, verse and scripture to go look it up. And this is what she did. So getting back to him not showing up to a lot of events was one thing. The next thing is that the ground game that they had, I'm out there looking at the ground. This is what I do, ladies and gentlemen, in Oakland County. If you give me 5 people and they're willing to knock, I'm gonna give you an easy number, 25 doors a day, and we got a year, we're gonna win an election, or we're gonna come so close. Miss Sheffield and them were out there in the streets. They were over in Bewick, was it Bewick and Mack? Okay, Mack and Bewick. Now, they should have learned from Trump coming to Bewick and Mack that's people in Bewick and Mack want to see somebody. And they didn't, but she went there. The other thing too, remember I said this to you at a few other shows. One of the things that she got that helped her, she got the Kamala effect. 92% of black women in America and 77% of black men in America voted for Kamala Harris. We are the base of the Democratic Party. When you read the book that Kamala put out, 107 Days, everybody go read this book, because once you read it, it's going to anger you to go and do the work. I read the book, and that made me go work even that much harder for the candidate when I talk about Oakland County. People saw that they should have voted for Kamala Harris. So black women in all across the country, when you look at these numbers across the country, they all came to vote for the black candidates, black females, white females. What was it, 4 governors that we picked up that wasn't supposed to possibly win? And they won. In this piece about Trump, everybody found out that Trump wasn't going to do what he said he was going to do. So they're taking out their vengeance some kind of way. And she benefited from that. But I commend them. They ran a brilliant ground game. Their ground game was incredible. In the one commercial, my wife happened to be talking to her daughters. They get on the phone, and they get on the phone, all of them, the daughters and the grand, they talk. And a commercial came on, and she put it on speaker and told her daughters and her granddaughters, wait a minute, listen to this. It was a commercial of Mary Sheffield. They showed this commercial where they showed all of the things, 75 men that had been the mayor of this great city of Detroit. And she said to the young lady, we're going to make history. A woman could run for mayor. That commercial, I sat there and looked at that commercial and I said, wow, that's a hell of a commercial. Because what she said to that little girl, I'm running for mayor now. You can do this too. You can do this.
And that really is the part that really made a difference with a lot of females that wanted to come out and support her.
Yes.
To help make history. But I have to say this too, you know, looking at the race, looking at everything that went on, what do you think in terms of, say, she didn't get the impact that UAW was supposed to have made when she, you know, when it was announced that they were going to support Kinloch. But the one thing that I have to say to Mary on that part, I never saw Mary come out and say anything against any of the UAW support that they got. I think that Mary, and just like you said, probably, you know, I look at Brian White, her chief of staff. I look at other people in the, you know, in her camp. I saw Teferi Brent. I saw Darrell Woods Jr. I mean, I saw a lot of people come out and help defend her when there was a lot of questions about, especially this last go round during this general election, when in the last couple of weeks there was the question about a contractor that she had allegedly had a relationship with,
Right.
and that people were saying that she should have recused herself from voting for him to be awarded contracts in the city of Detroit.
Right.
Now this gentleman apparently has got some, I guess there's some allegations about him and some dirt that he's picked up from Southfield that put into, I guess, some of the landfills or land in Detroit. So I guess he's under investigation. You know,
Okay.
based on that.
He's suspended because
And he's suspended, right, because of that.
Yeah, and that goes to his integrity,
Not hers.
not hers.
And that's the thing that a lot of
Yeah,
people,
but-
that was him.
That was
Not her.
that's not her. But also on top of that, we got to be honest, man. And this is shade. Sick and tired of white male media coming around here bashing our elected leaders, even if they serve their time, or just creating a story when there's no story that needs to be created.
Do you think it's just trying to get some
Yeah,
ratings?
because those same them same white reporters have said nothing for the last 9 months of what's going on in this country.
Well, see, that, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this one part too.
Yeah,
what you just said. 'Cause
yeah.
You made me think about something.
Yeah,
There was some shade that was thrown at us here at WHPR
right.
when we were scheduled to have a debate here with Hill Harper and Alyssa Slotkin.
Yep.
And there was some shade that was thrown at us. Who are they? Who is WHPR? And I'm not going to say who it was thrown by, but they know who they were. They were steady saying we were too small, we were a black station, that we couldn't handle that. And it should go to some of the other mega stations to do that in. And it's like R.J. Watkins, Maxine Willis, Henry Tyler, the big wigs here, said, we're not going to be discouraged by that negative talk that folks were saying we couldn't be, like we were the little engine that couldn't,
Right.
instead of the little engine that could. And that's the thing that I think that when you look at what you said, Norman, what you're saying, Joe, about folks throwing shade, just like the shade that was thrown at Kinloch in the beginning about what happened with him and his ex-wife and, you know, and all that happened.
Right.
People need to move on from those things. And sometimes there's some desperate politics that people were saying this was in desperation that was being done against Mary Sheffield towards the tail end. Because it, just as you're both saying, it didn't really matter. It was him. He didn't, you know, he did the discretion that he was being suspended for, not her.
Yeah, and on top
You know
of that,
what?
but on, just on top of that, Mary has laid the foundation for 3 years of doing the work in the community, not asking for nothing. I'm showing up because I'm your councilwoman representative, and I'm here to help. Just like she helped with the COVID outreach. And so you could put all you didn't endorsement from UAW, great. UAW didn't come to my event and help me put this on to feed the hungry. UAW didn't come down to help me go out there and support our efforts to go ahead and give backpacks to kids when it's time for school start. UAW didn't come down there when it's time to pass out turkeys. They have a meal. UAW didn't come down to that. So what do I care about UAW's endorsement when they have not been in the community for years? In the street. Some have a little bit, but really, as a whole, has UAW actually hit the streets of the community, Joe? No.
Let me
not
say
like
that. Nah, well, let me say this.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me
Because
say
I got to
that.
say something to that too.
I'm just saying.
No, what he's saying, that may be so in terms of there, but what I can say about when we pivot, no, we'll get to Oakland. We still in Detroit.
Yeah.
We still in Detroit. Ladies and gentlemen, the thing that killed him, let's stop. You know, y'all remember I always say I'm going to deal with the elephant in the room. They asked the question. They said, will you accept the National Guard in Detroit? Murray Sheffield said no. Let me back up. They said at the beginning they're going to ask them both basically the same question. They asked, would you accept National Guard? She said no. Reverend Kenlock said, under certain circumstances. But then they came back and when Chuck Stokes said, would you accept the federal resources here in the city of Detroit? And he said, well, under certain circumstances, I don't care how you spend this. The answer should have been no. We had the riots in Washington, D.C. in 1968 when Martin Luther King got assassinated. When they asked that question about the National Guard, and I saw on the debate, I was traumatized thinking about back in 1968 when a tank rolled over my uncle's 1970 Coupe de Ville drop top. A tank rolled over it. That's, you know what I'm saying? So that's where I was at. And then the other thing is, when they talked about him and what happened with his wife, what you were saying was right. We always have a tendency to remember what black folk do, but we can't remember what white folk do. But here's the thing. He didn't spend that. Had somebody said that about me, that I had done that with my wife, yes, I did that when I was 19 years old. But since then, I got a ministry that's for domestic violence. I learned from that, so forth. So I put that to bed, put that to rest, and move on. When we talk about Oakland County, I'm going to show you the difference in terms of experience. Mary Sheffield had the experience to deal with all of these departments. She's been dealing with them for 12 years. Ladies and gentlemen, running a church is not like running a city, and here's the reason why. When you go to a church, for example, a lot of the churches I go to, you walk in the door, they got the big picture of the church, of the pastor of the church and the first lady, and I'm not taking nothing away that, they've built a great, congregation and everything, but I'm going to church to praise and have my moment with God, not my moment to be with the pastor. A lot of people forget when you have all of the church folk that were in his churches, they don't live in Detroit. They live someplace else. I met quite a few people out there in Southfield that go to his church in Southfield. But that's because that church is in Southfield. It's not in Detroit. You needed to put a group together in a serious ground game, and you needed to execute that every day. And getting back, like you said, to the UAW. While the UAW, people had concerns about an endorsement. Everybody's been saying endorsements don't mean a lot no more, okay? But when I say the UAW, Miss Ashley Lewis and UAW Region 1 came to this dance for Wynette Guy. Let me tell you what they did for us.
We're going to have to hold that. 'Cause
Yes.
We got to take a quick break.
Okay.
Ashley's my girl. I love Ashley. So we're going to be right back. We're going to get back. We're going to finish this story from Joe Person. We're going to get back to some of the stories that Norman Clement is going to, elaborate on. And I'm Darwin Griffin, and we'll be, stay tuned, right back. You don't want to miss this.
the desk of R.J. Watkins. This is a WHPR editorial.
I'm Ariana Watkins, and for decades, my father, R.J. Watkins, has served our community with quality radio and TV service through WHPR and Roku. Today, I'm proud to stand beside him, continuing the legacy built on trust, innovation, and your support. We're here because of you, and we'll keep bringing you the best now and for generations to come. Thank you for supporting us and growing with us.
This has been a WHPR editorial.
Tune in to the I Love the Hustle show, Saturday afternoons at 12 p.m., followed by Mr. Smooth's Ballroom and Steppers Express Dance Show on WHPR 15.2 Detroit, Apple TV, Roku, and many streaming platforms. See you Saturday.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Mattered. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
TV 33 is moving to WHPS TV channel 15.2. Make sure to rescan the channels on your TV. Then go to WHPS channel 15.2 to pick up TV 33 and all of your favorite shows. The move is on, and we want you to move with us to WHPS channel 15.2.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
107.5 FM, WGPR HD3.
Post-election edition of Truth to Power, and I am joined by two individuals who definitely know when it comes down to the elections, and they have receipts for what they do in the community, and that is Joe Person and Norman Clement. And before we get to Oakland County, let's just kind of go into a little bit more. You know, we'll get to a little bit about like Ashley Lewis, Chantel Watkins. There was a lot of people that really came out to help, you know, support. I give my guys to Ferry Brent, I give Darrell Woods, I give Brian White, I give a lot of people a lot of credit for what they did in terms of saying helping. You know, and the key thing is that there's so many names to apply to what was the success that came along with the effort, the phone calls, everything else that they were doing out in the streets, to the suites, like you said about on Mack and Bewick. One thing that I give, you know, with Sheffield, the primary concluded. And once the primary concluded, I saw Sheffield out the next day.
I got a call the next 2 days later. They never stopped campaigning.
They did not stop campaigning. They were not resting on their laurels
Not at
because
all.
they knew there was still work that still had to be done. I know we have to make certain that we uplift her. We got to do everything we can to stop all of the negativity that, there needs to be a come to Jesus meeting, since both of them are pastors, or both of them are, they're both, one is a man of God, one is a woman of God. And we have to have that come to Jesus meeting between the two of them so that they can work out the particulars so that there can be a transition of power. And one of the people that I think that they just picked, and that's Melvin Butch Hollowell, to run that transition, from the Duggan administration to the newly elected Mary Sheffield administration. Now, a question I want to ask you both, and this is probably going to be stepping a little bit out of the comfort level of the two of you young men, is that who you think she's going to pick as her deputy mayor? I'll go with you first, Norman.
I know everybody mentioned Brian White, but
And Brian White is currently her chief of staff.
currently chief of staff. He may be going to. No, I keep hearing them Duggan campaigns looking to pick him up. There's a lot of great choices.
Well, give me who you think will be. I won't narrow you down to one, but who do you think is on her short list?
Chantel Jenkins got to be on my short list.
I agree, 100%.
Chantel Jenkins got to be on your short list. I think
Why do you say Chantel Jenkins?
because number one, they're the best two candidates around. They're the best two candidates for the city of Detroit mayor. They both have experience. Chantel also has a lot more experience dealing with the business community and dealing with DTE, understanding those rates, understanding the city. She understands the business community a little bit more better. I think they both have a good chance, but those are two most qualified people to do it.
So Chantel was one of the first ones that came out to support her.
Yes.
Also, wasn't she, after the primary?
Yes.
Joe, what's your thoughts? What do you think, Chantel, or who's on your short list?
I saw Chantel out in the streets, ladies and gentlemen. She was a class act. And here's the thing. You walk into a room, at the time she hadn't met me exactly. She had heard the name Joe President, but she hadn't met me. And she came over, she spoke to everybody in the room, and I was standing up on the wall, and she came over to me and said, "How you doing, sir? I'm Chantel Jenkins running for, and you are?" And I said, "I'm Joe Purden." She said, "Oh, Joe Purden, Oakland County." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She knows the people. She knows the problems. And here's the thing. I don't want Mary Sheffield to do any appeasement. You won. You kicked ass and took names. Let's be real. Let's stop all this dancing around. Pick your team. You don't have to appease anybody, because you can divide 23,000 votes into 75,000 votes. What's that, 3 times and some change still left over? The people spoke at the primary. I'm not angry with the individual, Reverend Kenlock that ran. He ran a race, but if he had to go back and do this again, there's some things that he should have done better. But at the end of the day, Miss Sheffield won in a landslide. Let's not try and play these games. So if she chooses to pick Chantel Jenkins, because I like her, she's on the short list, is because you got to hit the ground running. And Miss Jenkins knows what's out there, as well as Miss Sheffield.
You know, when you talk about like the winning percentage that she won, you look at Duggan, who was the mayor for 12 years. Duggan won in a race against Benny Napoleon the first time around when he was a write-in candidate, when Duggan was a write-in candidate.
Right.
Then he ran a race against Coleman Young Jr. when he ran for re-election, Duggan did. And the percentages were higher in terms of saying how much the gap between him beating Coleman Young Jr. Then he ran for re-election against Anthony Adams.
Right.
that gap was wide between him and Anthony Adams. And as a lot of people know, Anthony Adams was also the deputy mayor at one point of the city of Detroit, but he was also a strategist, and I don't know what other titles he may have had for the Kinloch campaign, as well. But now with Sheffield, the margin was very wide. The difference in terms, say, the percentage that she beat Kinloch by. So it's like it's saying something in terms of, say, to the people as to when are we going to have a race where you have the margin of difference between the two candidates closer, much closer. But let's talk about the voter apathy. There weren't a lot of people, Joe, Norman, that got out there and voted. Question I've been hearing from a lot of people that I know is that they're saying because the race was almost like called months ago,
Yes.
there was a lot of people that didn't get out and vote. They just said, and how you hear that term, my vote doesn't matter. There was a lot of people that kind of felt like their vote didn't matter. Why do I need to get out there and go vote when? And then the other question I heard, somebody said that because of the absentee ballots that you could vote early and you didn't have to have a reason for why you were voting absentee. And then the other part was the early voting in the various different precincts throughout the, the cities, that the decision was made way weeks ago than it was on election day. And a lot of people didn't.
Well, yeah, she looking at the numbers, she won in early voting tremendously.
Yes.
And she won on election day. And so, but I got disagree with you on the numbers. It was 22% higher than the last three mayor elections that people came out to vote. 22% more people voted in this election than the past three, against Adams, against Coleman Young, and against Napoleon, and Duggan's first term. So this race was on par with Kwame Kilpatrick and Freeman Hendricks. And so the difference was that was a close race. So what she did brought out a lot of first-time voters, a lot of 18-year-old voters, people who did not vote last year.
Why do you think that, though?
Well, because she met them where they are. They were in the community. And see, the thing is that people underestimate this thing when I keep saying organize your target areas. I think most of the ground team, I think, Joe, you've been doing this for a while. People are going back to, if I'm going to go in District 1, in a certain neighborhood that does not have a low voting turnout, but I know a neighbor there that has a neighborhood organization, they're trying to do some great things, they know about politics. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to hire that person to run my campaign in District 1. Because guess what? People know who she can speak the language to the people and get that message across. You organize and hire in your target areas. Too many times, and I can't, I passion. Too many times we got these folks that are coming from outside strategists or a consulting firm to tell you don't do that. They telling you that because, number one, they just want to take your money. Number two, they really don't care about what you're talking about or really care about the community. I've at this point, I only think that 3% of the consulting firms that are working in progressive spaces really care about community.
You know something, and I'm
telling you, I'm being honest.
I got to throw this story out, and I'm gonna let you, what we're saying in terms say about. It was interesting because a lot of people need to realize the petitions that a lot of people are out there trying to get people to sign now. You got to read the petition before you sign them, because I was someplace, and I'm not gonna say where, because you might know who it was that was trying to get me to sign this petition. And the guy called me before I went into the business, and he said, well, okay, I'll catch you when I come back out. So I come back out, he was like saying to me that, so you gonna sign my petition? And I had said to him, what is your petition about? So before he could even explain it to me, he just said, just sign it, just sign it. And I'm like, but I'm not signing anything that I don't know what it's about. And he said, but, man, you gonna stop a brother from getting, because I get $5 a signature.
That's irrelevant.
So
That's irrelevant.
you're not gonna, so, and then the other part, the other caveat that he said to this was like, man, I could be out there, I could be in prison. I could be out there robbing stores or robbing, stuff like that. So just saying, because I'll make $5 a signature,
Guilt trip.
so right.
It's a good trip.
And I'm like, is this what we are really resorting to? And to just, you're going to sign something just to get a man $5 for a signature. And then, that's where these individuals have these question marks about getting the signatures. Norman, we talked about this before. Joe, you got to make sure that these signatures are going to be valid signatures. Anybody can sign a petition and put a name and anything on it. And then when those signatures get discounted, now they're going to question every signature that person got.
And that has happened.
Just to get $5.
And that has happened. And that
happens.
That happens all the
But
time.
I just want to kind of get into that a little bit, right there, with that part. But the one thing that I just wanted to say real quick is that I commend the work that you are doing, Joe, when you get out there and go and get signatures. I commend the people that you got on your team to help get out there and get signatures. I think that candidates in this upcoming election next year, they need to contact you, Joe. They need to contact folks like you.
5 have already called me.
That have that integrity, Joe, to come and make certain that you have the reputation to get valid signatures. And when they need work done, normally they coming to you to do the same thing. So one of the things that we wanted to do, and we have been pleased to say, wish we could take a break, but we've got a person that just came into the studio that wants to come on and talk about his candidacy as well as him winning the district in 7 for city council.
Okay.
And that happens to be a gentleman, and I want to say his name, Councilman-elect Denzel McCampbell. So we're going to see if we can take a break and maybe get to him, because I really want to hear all what he has to say about what he is, what he's all about, and how we can go and make certain that Councilman-elect Denzel McCampbell can make certain that his messaging can really come across in the district that he so hardly said, I'm not going to sit down because there's too much work that needs to be done in District 7. And, and it's so impressive the way that he ran his campaign, the way that he did everything that needed to be done to ensure the people were going to go and support him. So we are now currently joined by Councilman-elect Denzel McCampbell from District 7, which was Councilman Fred Durhall's old district. And as those of you may know, he had to go and leave and could not run, talking about Councilman Durhall, because of the fact that he ran for mayor of the city of Detroit.
Right.
But then that opened up the seat, and that seat was a lot of people that were running in that district, including State Representative, who we had invited to come on the show as well, State Representative Karen Whitsitt. But the thing was that here, those two came out of the primary. We asked both to come on the show. Councilman-elect Denzel McCampbell said, hey, I'll be there just as he is today. I just can't say enough how proud I am of the campaign that you ran.
Thank you.
I was not hearing a lot of any negativity, any shade that we talked about, Joe, Norman, before what candidates have done with each other. But I'm going to give you, Joe, you, Norman, a chance to congratulate this young man and to give him, since you know what candidates go through, but to give him an opportunity to hear your perspective about what he needs to do to be successful. Because we want this man to be very successful in District 7. But Denzel McCampbell, welcome to Truth to Power today.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
It is an honor for us to have you here at the station with us today. That is Joe Person. If you don't know Joe, there might be a
know-
couple of people. Everybody know Joe. But then there's also, Norman Clement.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, but I'm gonna throw it at you, Denzel. Just talk about how do you feel right now? Because the last time you were on the show a couple of weeks ago, you were candidate
Yes.
Denzel McCampbell.
Yes.
Today we look at you and we say the honorable Denzel McCampbell elect councilman.
Yes.
How do you feel?
I feel blessed. It's an honor to be able to serve my neighbors in District 7. It's kind of also a very still surreal moment, right? To of all the hard work that the team, volunteers, supporters put in, and really the shared vision that our neighbors in District 7 said, okay, this is what we want to see coming up. And we really had a campaign that was all about direct voter contact. We knocked over 30,000 doors, made tens of thousands of calls to folks. We're at block clubs, neighborhood association meetings, because we wanted to make sure that folks knew that we were going to be a present council office, one that showed up and one that was accountable to the people, because I believe that's the political moment that we are in. Folks are done with the taglines and slogans. They want to see real progress in their neighborhoods, and that was the time and time again as we went door to door to door. Folks said, I want to see activity, investment, and resources in the neighborhoods. They said it's great that's what's going on downtown. Now we have needs here in the neighborhoods, and they wanted someone who would serve that. And I'm very honored that they went to the ballot box and the voting booths and said that they would elect me. So
it's so interesting because I'm looking at our engineer Tim Smith. Tim is sitting up here going, and he's orchestrating, saying, "That's my man. That's my man." That's his councilman in the district. And that's the thing, that Tim has that proud look on his face, like, hey,
thank you, sir.
I am so happy to see this man and honored to have you here in the studio, sitting here with him today as his newly elected councilman in District 7.
Thank you.
So, Tim, if there was something that you wanted to say real quick, I could put the mic to you, but I know you are looking like a very proud young man, happy that this man won that seat in that district. You may not be able to see Tim right now on the camera, but Tim is like giving him a fist bump and, doing the thumbs up and the signal to let him know, hey, he is so proud of you, just as we all are here in the studio.
Thank you so much.
And we at Watkins Broadcast want you to come back
absolutely
as many times as you'd like to come back and be a part of the show. But we've got 10 minutes. I'm going to give Joe, I'm going to let you make the first comment or make the first statement to Councilman-elect Denzel McCampbell.
Listen, first of all, when I heard about your race, I said, okay, he's going to win this. And somebody said, how do you know? I said, he rolls with Rashida Tlaib. Let's keep this real, okay? I saw what she did, and she came over to Southfield. And here's the thing, I know you did this. If there was a chair of a club, of an organization, you didn't just roll up in there. You picked up the phone and said, I'm gonna win your support. I'm not just gonna assume you're gonna vote for me. I saw him do this.
Thank you.
He went and knocked on doors. Again, the theme that you're hearing here this morning, you've heard it from Norman, you've heard it from me. Now you're hearing it from Councilman-elect. He knocked, 30,000 doors?
Yes.
They did 10,000 calls. That works, ladies and gentlemen. Not none of this, I'm gonna do a mailing for you, a couple of mailings, and that's it, and don't nobody see you, and you expect it to work for you. He did the work. And I know that according to your sound engineer and everything, he gonna be proud. Listen, ladies, he's beaming like a proud papa, a proud papa over here in the background.
And I know Tim gonna want to take a picture with you.
Yeah.
So I know he gonna want to take a picture.
So we all gonna take a picture.
So he gonna probably, but Tim has a heck of a Facebook presence.
Yes.
So I know he's gonna make sure that his face, and he's got a lot of celebrities that he takes pictures with.
Yes.
From Chaka Khan to all these other But I'm sure your picture with him is going to probably be shown proudly across his Facebook page.
One question I have to ask you, and
Yes,
that's
sir.
it, and I'm going to give it to Norman. You got 90 days in office, the first 90 days. I'm not going to say give me 5 or 6 things, but give me the most important thing that you heard out there on the campaign trail from the people that they wanted you to do in that first 90 days.
In the first 90 days, we will be going into the budget season. We're due a budget by April of 2026, and we will be pushing hard on delivering resources to the neighborhood. That is the number one thing that I heard. Folks wanted to see, they want to see more efforts to have beautification in District 7. They want to see that the blight is being cleaned up, and that's something I want to make sure that we have funding in departments such as BC, so that we have enough inspectors to go around to make sure that blight is cleaned up. But also thinking about home repair and home ownership. A lot of our seniors are wanting to see more home repair dollars and want to be able to age gracefully in their homes. And we know that when our seniors can stay in their homes, they will live longer and have healthier lives. So wanting to push for more funding around that and to get more young people into home ownership. And that's some of the work that has already started, but we have to amplify that in District 7. The other aspect is that we have to continue that presence in the neighborhood. So we're going to have a widespread listening session throughout the district. And what I want to do is to turn that into work groups around various issues that people care about. So if there are folks that are coming to say, I really care about housing in District 7, we're going to create a housing work group that has residents, stakeholders, community developers at the table to say, here's how we have truly affordable housing, and here's what we need at the council table, but also here's what we need in Lansing and DC, so we can make sure that all of these issues are intertwined on all levels of government.
Well, one thing, we got to take a quick break. So Norman, you'll have the next question.
Yeah.
And we are here in the presence of Councilman-elect, 7th District of the great city of Detroit, Councilman-elect Denzel McCampbell. And you're going to hear this name a lot. But it's interesting, when I first met Denzel's beard was totally black.
Yeah. No longer.
Now it's no longer. But that shows the sign of wisdom. So he's been out there knocking on doors, as you said, Joe. But we're going to have more conversation with Councilman-elect Denzel McCampbell, the 7th District of the great city of Detroit. Stay tuned.
Deborah Geraldine Bledsoe Ford, and I want to celebrate 3 Hall of Fame women. My aunt, Anita Ford Allen, the first female president of the D.C. School Board. My grandmother, Geraldine Bledsoe, a member of the Michigan Women's Hall of Fame for fair employment practices in the state of Michigan. And my mother, Geraldine Bledsoe Ford, the 3rd female jurist in the state of Michigan. Each of these women influenced me and many others to be strong, courageous, and self-assured.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Mattered. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
Claudine Jackson thought she had it all until she was faced with the challenges of raising an autistic child. Inspired by autism is her brutally honest journey, filled with heartbreak and triumph. Get your copy and find the support you deserve today by visiting www.claudinejackson.tv.
Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only. TV 33 is moving to WHPS TV channel 15.2. Make sure to rescan the channels on your TV. Then go to WHPS channel 15.2 to pick up TV 33 and all of your favorite shows. The move is on, and we want you to move with us to WHPS channel 15.2.
Joe Person, and our other co-host, the lead, had to step out, so we're going to go ahead and take over for a little bit here. And we're here with Mayor-elect Denzel McCampbell here, talking about his victory, but also his plans for District 7. And on the side note, Denzel and also District 7 elect Councilman-elect Denzel McCampbell, also Senator Slockton. Before they won their race, they all came to Truth to Power and did interviews. So, note to the folks.
Yeah, this is the place to be.
If you want to win your victory,
absolutely,
come on here to Truth to Power. So, Denzel, again, we're immensely proud of your organization, your campaign, and I want to talk about as far as your perseverance. And this is not something that's overnight. This is something that you ran the first time, you lost, but talk about what you learned from that. And then how they propelled your victory this time.
When I ran in 2021 for city clerk, it was a citywide election. It was one that I also knew that on that campaign, we had to do a lot of civic education, right? When I would go to folks' door, they would say, "You're running for city council?" I said, "Well, no, city clerk." Well, what does a city clerk do? And Norman, you and I have done a lot of work over the years around voter engagement, election protection, and civic education. And what I learned from that race is that we really have to bring these races to really break it down on a granular level on how they're impacting folks. And that's something that we did in the city council race, of thinking about, when I would go to someone's door, the first thing I would ask before I even go to anything about me was, what are the issues that are at the top of your mind? That was the first question I would ask every resident that I knocked the door. And we were able to relate to, here's how a city council office delivers on those issues. And quite often would be constituent services, right? Mm-hmm. It would be, hey, this tree is in the front of my yard,
right,
and it is about to fall on my car. The city hasn't been around to trim the tree. Or the lot next door to me it needs to be cut, and the land bank has to come around. Can you contact someone for that? And to be there and to immediately do so, we were able to show right then the impacts of a city council office. So that's something that I learned in that race, to really bring it home for folks, and to be on every single block with that service. And you don't have to wait until I get into office. Right. Even yesterday, the day after the election, I don't even have a city email address. I didn't even get a letter about the orientation yet, but I went over to a constituent homes because they had another tree issue. And I want folks to make sure that they know that no matter what the issue is, I'm going to be there to help connect the dots for them. And that's what I've learned throughout the years, really, that organizing on the streets, but also the constituent services, and also knowing how these issues are impacting our folks.
And that's a great way you touched about that, where people want, when you ask them, okay, what's your immediate need? It's not some old big granular or this whole national news sort of thing. Mm-hmm. It is basically kitchen table, mom and pop, living issues that I deal every day that actually makes constituents come out and say, okay, it's the tangible stuff they see every single day. And I think that's great that you, your organization and your platform and your leadership will exemplify that. And so on that note there, I wonder how is that team going to be looking at when you're building up for that organization outreach?
It's going to be very focused on constituent services. It is making sure that we're returning phone calls, making sure that we're present in the neighborhoods, making sure that we're at meetings and connecting the dots, meeting with the administration and the department heads to make sure that when we hear issue, we're immediately connecting to that on that service aspect. And then we know all of the issues from our district will come from being present and being on the block, continue to door knock, continue to call and say, hey, we're not even talking about elections or voting. We're just checking up on you to see. We know the issues that we will have to tackle at the council table will come from there. So if we are talking about constituent service that we can't solve what we have now, okay, maybe we do have to then go to the budget or ordinance to change that. And I really believe in that co-governance approach of getting our issues and the solutions. The solutions are in our neighborhoods, right? We don't have to recreate the wheel.
Absolutely.
I talked a lot about youth recreation or youth programming and mentorship. There are folks throughout District 7 that are doing that work, but also just need a partnership to say, hey, we need a place to meet. Or, hey, we need just a little bit extra funding to reach even more kids, right? Or we need folks to bring us to the table with other people who are doing this work so we can strengthen that as well. So being someone who is an advocate at the council table, who is delivering, but also being a conduit to increase that community connection as well.
That's great. That's awesome.
The other thing, when you say the bread and butter issues, your approach was incredible. Because a lot of people, did you hear any people that when you knocked on the door, they said, I've never met the councilman or somebody that's from the Democratic Club or whatever party you belong to. Was it amazing for you to find out, you found out how many people weren't coming out to talk to the people? That told you something, didn't it?
You heard a quiet yes. There were many areas that they would seem surprised. They would look at me because of course they would think that, oh, okay, you're just a canvasser for this person running, and they'll say, okay, go through your spiel, and then they'll look up and they'll say, oh, this is you. I said, oh yeah, it's me. They'll say, you're out here? I said, absolutely, because I do not believe in putting your name on a ballot, asking people to vote for you if you're not going to be present and meet them where they are. Of course, our district is a large district. We have around 97,000 people. We have around 48,000 registered voters. So it spans from Livernois over to the Redford border, from the Dearborn Heights border, all the way up to Puritan in some areas. So it is a lot to reach every person, but you have to attempt to try to reach as many people as you can, no matter where they are, right? There would be folks that I would knock their door and they say, I just saw you at the neighborhood association meeting, or they would be at the block club and I just saw you at the coffee shop. I want folks to, and especially as a council member, right? This is the closest, especially as a district council member, we have to be in every corner in between, because there are a lot of areas in District 7 that want to make sure that we're paying attention to them, that feel that they have been left out, and we have to make sure that we're delivering for everyone.
What was the number, what was your number that you won by in terms of percentage points over the other candidate?
I believe it was 58, 59% to 40.
I'm going on record. When you run again, because this, you have a program to reach the people. If you don't do 75%, remember I said it first.
Yeah,
I'll definitely keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yeah, so like I'm just thinking about your district here, and then where I'm in District 2, and talking about far as what the people need. And then I think one comes to mind is in your district, you got River Rouge Park is in your district, right? And so is there anything that, I know you met with the leadership over there, I know every park has a neighborhood organization. I know Palmer Park, but I know River Rouge Park is one of the city's gems that no one really is put some faith in, but it's also a park where it's been neglected and things like that. Has anyone from there after talked to you, or you talked to that organization over there about far as improvements that they need to look at?
Yeah, so the Friends of Rouge Park are, they have done an amazing job in the recent years of improving the park, getting more programming. For folks who don't know, Rouge Park is the largest urban park in the state of Michigan. Rouge Park is larger than Central Park in New York City, right? And there's such great potential, and folks are tapping into it. The Friends of Rouge are now a part of the Detroit Parks Coalition, which I know Palmer Park is a member of as well.
Right.
And when I was on the Charter Revision Commission, we really tried to emphasize the importance around green space. I knocked on the resident's door in Far West in District 7, and she said she lived near South End of Dearborn, where there's a lot of heavy pollution. And she said she moved to right by Rouge Park, all of her asthma and sinus issues went away, right? So not only are green spaces and parks like Rouge Park important for recreation and community, they're public health. They improve public health, right?
Yes.
And I would love to see even more programming at Rouge Park. I would love to see we can do a lot more. There's a lot of wildlife there, right?
Right.
There is so much that we can do to have right here in our backyard here in Detroit, and I'm looking forward to that. I think it is going to take a lot of resources, but I think in the partnerships that they have with the Detroit Parks Coalition, and as we see more and more folks talk about the importance of green space, that is something that I will push for as well. The other thing I want to talk about around recreation is that since we have so much space in Detroit around lots and such, I've been on a lot of blocks, whether it's on near Wyoming and Plymouth, or in Aviation, or in Warrendale. Folks are talking about pocket parks of just right on the block, a couple of benches for folks to sit, to build community, to have a nice a swing set or something for kids to play. And that is something that we can look at as well, programming right there on the block, or even, Mr. Dickerson over in Pride area talked about having a basketball court for the kids right on the block, right? And instead of having to have the rim in the street that may cause some safety issues, just use a lot to activate those. So I really want to be innovative in how we are using space. Of course, we would love to build housing and things to activate that, but we can also think about what else is needed in the neighborhood as well.
I think that's an excellent idea of using space as a function of recreation, but also a sense of community. Because sometimes, we have a tendency in Detroiters to go outside of our community.
Yes.
We always go to Southfield or go to the other parks in here, and not having the beauty space in your own neighborhood. That's tremendous. I'm thinking about far as how many times families want to do a picnic or birthday party and stuff like that. I think it's a very, very great idea.
Thank you.
I think that you were incredible. I like the ground game. My company, while it's a political consulting company, it's the ground game that I like, to go get the signatures, do the canvassing. And the thing about it is that we had a conversation about your signature. You had to get signatures, right?
Yeah.
I told him, I says, he's gotten his signatures. See, one thing I noticed that as we talked about in the other candidates who ran for either mayor or some of the others, city council, it took them months. To get their signatures. I know that you understand the canvassing part. You went right there and got it. You never worried about it. You never talked about it. When it came time to turn them in, you just turned them in and kept on moving.
Oh, yes.
And people don't understand. Ladies and gentlemen, the most important aspect of a campaign is getting the signatures.
It is.
If you don't get this, how many signatures is it for city council
So for city council for district, we needed 350 valid, I believe. You could turn in the max of 500.
Well, in Southfield, it's 200. But I tell people, if I go out and get 500 or 600 or 700 signatures, I want them all turned in. And the reason being is that, like you said, we saw in Southfield where something happened because they took away signatures. You understand that. You verified your signatures.
Yes.
You knew that every one of those signatures you turned in was a registered voter.
Absolutely.
In District 7.
Yes. And that was legible. And, I will tell folks that if you're listening and thinking about running for office and you have to collect signatures, like you said, Mr. Person, you have to you use it as a canvassing, right? That's the first touch for folks, right? You meet folks where they are. Yeah, you can go to high traffic areas, but we were already talking about what we wanted to do on the campaign when we were reaching out to folks and say, my name is Denzel McCampbell, and this is why I'm running. And if you agree with that, will you sign my petition, right?
Oh, wow.
And,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And we gave a pamphlet to folks so they have that. And this was in the winter, right?
Yeah.
So we were already talking. So folks who signed our petition way back then, they probably saw us throughout the campaign 4, 5, 6 times when they came to in-person knocking the doors for them.
That is so important.
That's
right there.
that's the essence of a campaign.
Yes.
That's what got you elected.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what got you elected.
Yes.
And he's been working in these spaces, and he can also tell you, man, he's seen my frustration before. So,
and we all have the same frustration, the exact same.
And so knowing that, how to get signatures and campaign and stuff like that, I wonder, as right now the midterms are coming up, and I wonder if your name, if your phone's been ringing about House strategy in District 7, and has folks been reaching out and say, hey, how did you do District 7? What was your campaign strategy? Because I just want to know if folks have reached out to folks who've done it, like who have actually gone out there to do signature collections in November. And the senior, so you had like 5 or 6 touches on people already.
Yes.
And so when it comes to the primary, people come out to vote. If you touch people more than 10 or 12 times, they're voting for you.
Yes.
No matter what the touches are, from outreach to gaining your vote to coming to an event, coming to a meeting. If I touch you 12 times, I can get you to come vote for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was wondering, after the success, has anybody reached out to say, hey, how could we copy or mimic what you did?
I will say I still have some calls to return, but
okay.
But I have heard from folks, and that's a great question. And I am one that is I care deeply about folks being engaged. Mm-hmm. So I'm not one that I'm gonna gatekeep all of this, right? I feel that folks should be out there talking to residents, and if they agree with your platform or vision, then they'll vote for you. And one thing that we did in this campaign is that we included newly registered voters from the start. So what we often see is that when you get a week out from the election, that they'll say, oh, we should reach out to newly registered voters. Well, we were talking to them for months, and we had folks we did poll greeters, of course, at the polling locations. We had folks that came up and said, this is my first time voting, and I'm here to vote for Denzel.
Awesome.
And that we saw that was the payoff of talking to folks. And we were, of course, with the messaging, but also a vote plan. Here's the mechanics of voting. Here's how you can vote. And I want to make sure not only with candidates, but also I had an amazing team. I really have to shout them out. We had an amazing team that were dedicated, who cared deeply about the city of Detroit, who cared deeply about Southeast Michigan, and wanted to see folks in these seats to really push our issues. And I want to make sure that we are building up the skills and talent that we have here in Detroit, that we don't have to get folks from other states to come in during election time, that we have our own folks here who are in the community, who live in the district, who live in these cities, and who are also calling the shots and building up the strategy. That's something I've done in political and campaign training, and now in this role want to make sure that we're doing, especially here in the city of Detroit.
And I think that the thing that you talked about is that vote plan, but also as far as what it takes to vote, educate people about the voting process. I think Joe said something where 1,000 signatures got thrown away because people didn't know how to fill in the ballot properly. And we talked about past elections where 30,000 votes had to go because somebody bubbled in the wrong way or something like that. I think that right there is also a key that you're bringing in these spaces where, hey guys, we got to teach people, meet them where they are, but people may not know how to vote. We understand that the nation has the average nation's reading level is at 6th grade level. Folks have a problem reading, and so I think meeting them where they are and giving that expert space in that, I think that was another brilliant, genius idea. I mean, I'm not all what you did, And I mean, like, you know, you did awesome work, brother.
It is because I have worked in coalition and learned from folks like you all in this room, that we have been in spaces that we have been talking about time and time again about the importance of engaging people, about the importance of voting, and also about the importance of holding folks accountable, right? I went to the Southfield Plymouth Community Association meeting last night, and I told them, I said, I need you to hold me accountable because as we're going to do things, and I want you to say, okay, what's next, right? Because we have to continue this on, because that's also how we're going to engage people. If we show people that, great, you went out and voted, and this is the result of that you're seeing in your neighborhood, that will also push back on a lot of this apathy that we're seeing, because folks have constantly turned out to vote, and we tell them to go ahead and vote for this candidate who will do X, Y, and Z, and then they don't see it, and they say, okay, well, then why am I doing this? So I want to, you know, it was great that we saw a higher turnout in the city of Detroit that we've seen since 2005, and we just need to, next year, we need 2026, we need to see a higher turnout than we've seen since 2006, right, in the gubernatorial, right, or in 2006. So we have to continue building up on that, and as one, having quality candidates, having quality teams, and having a plan that will reach people where they are.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I know that one of the things I see politically that's really a turnoff for me in Oakland County, I'm tired of seeing show horses. I want work horses, you know, and I know what you did because you campaigned the same way I campaigned, and you can see the results because we're sitting here now waiting for these Oakland County Democratic Party, the Oakland County Elections Department to tell us where we're at in Southfield. But we went out and we canvassed, and as I say, Dandel, we had a candidate that wasn't on the ballot. And we're 140 votes, possibly at least catching up with him, you know, and we could possibly win because there's several more votes that have to be counted.
Yes.
You do the work and you will be rewarded, but more importantly, you did your ground game was incredible. Norman talks about a ground game. I talk about a ground game. The ground game is more important than anything because you're going to meet people for the first time, and they want to know who you are. And like you said, the lady or the person that saw you and thought you was just giving her the canvas spiel, and she looks, or she looks, oh, that's you. I just want to thank you. Most people won't do this. I thank you for throwing your hat in the game. Because people going to throw shade, they're going to talk about you, they're going to talk about other issues. The only thing I care about you doing is that you do the job. And the last thing, you don't have to I don't have to like you. That's the other thing we got to get away from. Does Denzel Campbell do the work? Yes. I may never go out and party with you. You may never go out and party with me. But when I call you and say, I got a tree that needs to be cut down and Department of Public Works is not coming here, help me, and you take care of that.
You know, Chairperson, that's key. And I'm glad you bring that up because I want, as we are going into 2026, right, as we are now off this, we're coming off and waiting for results in a lot of races on 2025. My message to folks is to make sure that you are really having a conversation with these candidates on what are their plans for your community and how will they do it, and making sure and asking them what have they done and how do they show up in that way. Because you are right. We continue to make so many decisions based on personality and name and not actually on the track record, right? If you're hiring an accountant, if you're going to a doctor's office, if you're any person that gives you a service, you're not asking, hey, you know, what's your favorite restaurant? Or where do you hang out at a restaurant? You're at, what is your track record and what's your experience and skills and how will you ensure that you are serving me in the best way? And that's what we should be asking of these candidates because they are making life and death decisions. We look at this cuts to SNAP. The cuts to SNAP, that is a life or death decision. We look at the poverty rate in the city of Detroit. It is 51% for our children. No one should live in poverty, right? And that should be laser focused in the city of Detroit. I I hope that folks, I consider myself a nice person, a nice guy, a pleasant person to be around, but I'm not running to on a popularity contest. I'm running to serve residents. And that's what I want to be judged by. And that's what every candidate running should be judged by. And if they're not fitting into that, then they do not deserve to be in that role.
We're going to leave that off of that point. Basically, if you're not about the business of others, don't do this business at all. And so, again, Denzel McCammell, Councilman-elect Denzel McCammell, thank you again for joining our show. Again, we know we have Joe Person here, the expert here. We got less than 2 minutes. We got less than 5 minutes. Go ahead and say something, Joe.
I just want to know that you're doing the work. And the things that you do good over there, I don't have a problem in inviting you over to Southfield to sit down and help my city council, because they still need to learn some things. We're going to have some new councilmen. So let's just stay in touch.
It is all about, we really have to be thinking about this in a collective way. And I want to make sure that folks in this region, the Southeast Michigan region, that we are serving folks. And like I said, I'm not one to gatekeep information or anything like that. Folks may have information that would be working well for us, and that's something that I also want to make sure that we're doing, is that we can look to other places to see, hey, how are you doing this? Is it working well? How can we replicate that here? And that's something that I'm definitely down to do, to meet with folks and share information, share skills, and really have a positive impact for our people.
Thank you. And one of the last things I want to say, they're still counting the votes, ladies and gentlemen, for the Southfield City Clerk's election. And I want to give a shout out especially to Curtis Hertel, because the Michigan Democratic Party chair, when I say stepped up, and the UAW Regional 1, Ashley Lewis stepped up, and Rock Sears, you can't say nothing bad about those three people, at least not in my house.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, again, Denzel, thank you for coming again. Councilman-elect for District 7.
I still have to get used to it.
I know. Thank you. And so, thank you for Joe Person for coming here. And, about to go off here. Again, thanks for your time. You're listening to us here. And also, as far as you have any comments or questions, again, looking for us at WHPR Radio. We'll be here next week, same time, same place. And go get something more quickly.
I would just say for folks, as I mentioned, we will be sworn in January, and we're getting the team together. Folks can still, even you can reach out to me now. The line of our campaign number is still, it goes directly to me. That's 313-261-6992. My email address is denzel@denzelfordetroit.com. I want to hear from folks, want to hear any suggestions and thoughts people may have. And please be on the lookout again for that listening session that will be throughout District 7. Really want to create that foundation of serving folks for the next 4 years.
All right.
All righty.
All righty. So thanks for having us the time. And then Joe, got anything else? I
just love America. I love seeing democracy work. And thank you for being a part of democracy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks again. It's Norman with the Detroit Change Initiative here. Thanks for listening to us again on time. So WPHR Radio, the best again, if you're running for anything, you should come on this show.
Absolutely.
Again, you come on, hey, last two people came on one. So again, come on the show. Thanks for your time, and you guys have a great, lovely day.
Take care.